ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, August 17th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for being a part of today's show. We're going to get things started with our text line. It is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. I've got Tyler Kennett joining us in the next few minutes from HD Media. I'll give you a sort of a on-the-ground look at the Thundering Herd at this point as we are getting closer to the start of Marshall football with that road opener against Penn State looming large. And of course, Tyler covering the Thundering Herd for HD Media, so we'll have the scoop. We'll talk to him in about 10 minutes or so. Until then, we'll get the text line going. And again, one more time, just in case you didn't catch that number, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've also got baseball action for you tonight. Yesterday, the Pirates got the win over Boston 8-3. So Pittsburgh opening up a series now against the Detroit Tigers. 6:40 is going to be our airtime. Pirates baseball all season long right here, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Marlins got the better of the Reds yesterday, 7-1. So today, doubleheader for the Reds. And the Reds lost the first one to the Cardinals 2-1. Second one coming up tonight. And that's going to be a 6:40 start as well. Padres got the better of the Guardians 5-0, and the Guardians are off today. And of course, volleyball is getting ready for its season. Thundering Herd will face off against Ohio State in exhibition play. That's coming up on Wednesday. We've got soccer to touch on here in a bit, but yesterday, disappointing for Marshall fans because the weather just wouldn't let the Herd play. Matchup against Ohio, so that game's postponed. We don't have a makeup date just yet, but the weather yesterday, if you were in the immediate area, if you were anywhere near Huntington, you know it was not going to happen. It was very difficult to get that game in, so the soccer match between the Bobcats and the Thundering Herd postponed. We'll find out what happens up next for the Herd. The women are going to be on the road taking on High Point. The men are going to be in action against Fairfield on the 20th. That will be a fun one, I'm sure. Bobby Iddings is going to join us on Thursday, give us a game day preview. So I'm excited that Bobby has agreed to come back, and we're going to do that again more often, especially with all the home matchups. So Bobby has agreed to do that, and I'm very thankful for that. So I'm excited. We've got a lot happening because with soccer comes volleyball. With volleyball comes football. Of course, all the fall sports are ramping up, and the Thundering Herd trying to get it done before the start of the season. Unfortunately, if you read the story, Coach was pretty much on the defensive side saying, hey, look, defense came to play. Offense, not so much. I don't know if there's a point of concern there for me, but that's what Tyler is going to do. He's going to get us caught up on everything with the Thundering Herd and kind of give us a feel for what we can expect the rest of the way. Also, to talk about later, the preseason Associated Press Top 25 poll is out. First of all, why are we doing this again? Obviously, we're doing this because we've always done this. We've got the preseason Top 25. Here's what the voters have said. In the one spot with 40 first-place votes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And in the two spot with 14 first-place votes, Oregon. Georgia comes in third. Notre Dame comes in fourth with 6 first-place votes. Texas gets the 5 spot. Indiana with 8 first-place votes comes in at number 6. Miami with the last first-place vote coming in at number 7 to round out the top 10. Texas A&M at 8, Ole Miss at 9, Oklahoma at 10. And, of course, nobody knows what anyone has. We've got an idea. To be fair, we've got an idea. Sure, Ohio State's going to be good. Yes, Oregon's going to be good. Yes, Georgia should be good. Notre Dame should be good. I would think Indiana would be good at this point of Indiana's football life. I would definitely not put them outside the top 10. So I'm not surprised by anything here. You look at LSU coming in at number 11 spot. What do we really know? Texas Tech at number 12. Alabama 13. See, I read that and I go, Alabama 13. That just does not register for me. BYU comes in at number 14. USC comes in tied with BYU. So Michigan gets the 16 spot. And then you have, rounding out the bottom half of this thing, Washington's at number 17. Penn State comes in at number 18. So Marshall will be facing off against 18th ranked Penn State. Number 19 will be SMU. Tennessee comes in at number 20. And then the bottom 5, Utah at 21, Iowa at 22, Houston at 23, Louisville at 24, and Missouri at 25. Clemson right outside of the top 25. Very rare to not see Clemson ranked in the preseason top 25. So you look at the other teams receiving votes, and I'm not going to read them all, but James Madison got 3 points. Tulane got 1. Let's see. Western Michigan got 1. Boise State got 43. Louisiana got 4. If I'm reading that right, Georgia Tech 4, Louisiana 4, James Madison 3. So there's some interesting votes going on here. And again, this is the way too early. Why are we even doing this preseason top 25? It's because, well, we're going to talk about it. Obviously, this generates interest in college football. I just don't know if right now, if I'm James Madison, or at least those fans, if I'm James Madison, I'm probably feeling a little slighted here. You get a berth in the college football playoff, you score points, and you're nowhere inside the top 25. You're on the outside looking in, and you were a participant in last year's playoff. So what does that mean? And again, absolutely nothing, because it is preseason and it doesn't mean anything. This is not the way to set the table. There should be a better way. Wait a few weeks, let's see what happens, and then kind of let's give our opinion then. Because really, at the end of the day, this is completely subjective. I could come up with my preseason AP Top 25 poll. You might like it. You might think it's the worst thing ever. Or it might fall in between. Or everyone could universally agree, you know what, Paul? No, this is it. This is not it. Here's what it should be. Everybody's got an opinion. And, of course, I'm not against polls, completely not trashing it. It's just way too early to be even talking about which team is the number one team in college football right now. We don't know. We're not going to know. We still won't know after a few weeks. We got to get through this process a little bit. And, of course, this thing's going to be nullified anyway when the college football playoff rankings come out, because that's the only thing that gets you in the playoff. So when those rankings come out, this thing, even though the AP has more prestige and more status than any other ranking, this thing's been around a long time. When the college football playoff poll comes out, we look at this thing like, oh, hey, yeah, oh, by the way, in the AP poll. Get those texts in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Looking forward to speaking to Tyler Kennett on today's edition of Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. White elastomeric roof coating stops leaks and restores flat roofs. It lowers roof temperature by reflecting heat from the sun, helping you save on energy costs. And it's easy to apply with a brush, roller, or sprayer. Shop our entire selection of roof coatings today on Menards.com. Plus, check our weekly flyer for all of the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Looking for more than just a job? Build a career with C.J. Hughes Construction in Huntington, West Virginia. For more than 80 years, C.J. Hughes has been building the infrastructure that keeps our communities moving, and now they're looking for great people to join the team. They're hiring CDL dump truck drivers, Class A starting at $26.50 an hour and Class B at $23.50. They also have openings for heavy equipment operators, laborers, servicemen, and fusion professionals, pipe layers, and flaggers with competitive pay based on your position and experience. If you're reliable, have a strong work ethic, a valid driver's license, can pass a pre-employment drug screen, have a clean background, and are willing to travel, they want to hear from you. Enjoy competitive pay, medical, dental, and vision insurance, a company match 401k, paid vacation, and opportunities to grow your career. Apply today at cjhughes.com or call 304-522-3868. That's cjhughes.com or 304-522-3868. CJ Hughes Construction, safety, quality, production. Summer starts here. It's the Moses Auto Mall of Huntington Ninth Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, August 14th, it's Warner Law Office Night featuring the sounds of Cruz Avenue. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy Ninth Street Libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerks at Pullman Square. Mark your calendars for August 28th with The Chase. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blanco Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kidra Communications.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
On ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue on with this Monday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll get those texts going in just a moment. I want to welcome to the program now, good friend of the program, Tyler Kennett, covers the Thundering Herd for HD Media, including the Herald-Dispatch. He's on the program with us now. All your free time is about to get sucked up as you live for this stuff, man. It's football season.
Yeah, we're in fall camp. I think Kentucky and Ohio start high school football this week. At least Kentucky does, because I'm going there this week. Get going in a couple of weeks, go to Penn State, and get on the bus. You know. Let's
get it going. Excited. Who do you think you got? Who are you covering Friday night? Who do you know yet?
You put me on the spot. I think
sorry about that.
It's either Rock Hill or Colgrove.
Okay.
One of those two namers. So.
All right, it'll be wherever you're going. It's going to be in HD Media, and of course, everybody's getting ramped up for that. And then we got college here in a few weeks. So, Tyler, of course, is the beat reporter for HD Media covering the Thundering Herd. You've seen probably a little bit more of the team than everyone else has. Some strong words from Coach after the scrimmage on Saturday. What'd you make of what he was saying, and what's your early impression of what you're able to talk about from what you've seen?
Yeah, I saw the last 15, 20 minutes or so. Scrimmage, I wrote a little bit more about it today, but the way they kind of run the scrimmages are kind of situation-based. They want to put them in spots, like put the offense on the goal line, make them go, or put the defense in a red zone situation. Just the overall takeaway was that the defense won the scrimmage pretty handily, so much so that Coach Gibson was saying that everything needed to be improved on offense. I didn't say that there's like a panic button that needs to be pressed at this point. There's another scrimmage that's coming Saturday, and figure if it's another problem then that's when I probably get some harsher words about it, but I really talk highly about the DBs, and I guess that was kind of a point that a lot of people have talked about because a lot of transfers, a lot of revamping in that room, but played really well. I saw a couple turnovers in the time that I watched. I can't obviously go too deep into everything I see for the sake of just the policy for spring practice and it being closed and everything, but I think that it's not the worst thing for the offense. I think the defense, it really is just a great sign because, obviously with Carlos getting named to another watch list for player of the year and you have all that momentum on offense and all the preseason accolades, for the defense to be right there with them, if not ahead, is a great sign, So I think that was kind of the takeaway. Talked to Caleb Clark-Glover after, and, he was talking about the DBs and their depth and a lot of different skills they have in that spot. I think that it's looking really good, for the defense. Probably talk tomorrow some more stuff on, how's it been going since and things like that. But a lot of depth, a lot of depth on the defense and even the offense too. I think that the receivers have gotten a bulk of my recent coverage. Talked a lot about how they have so many different guys. You have like Owen Sweeney is, 6'4", he's a real tall guy out there. And then you have guys like Zay Bradshaw, who's smaller, but he's so quick that he can just kind of undercut the defense and get some plays going. So I do think that there's more opportunity for the pass game this year. It looks like they have a lot of weapons for Carlos to get around to. And Coach Gibson was complimentary of all the quarterbacks. I mean, Zion's been doing good, and Khalil got the shout out after the scrimmage about how he extends the plays. And he really does. He's a guy who can break into that second level or something like that if he needs to, and bright future ahead, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you alluded to Carlos Del Rio Wilson being named to the 2026 Walter Camp Player of the Year watch list. Also, one of only 50 players nationally, just kind of highlight how big of a deal this is. And he's the only Sun Belt player as well on the list. So, lots of expectations for him. Obviously, he's just stacking up preseason nods. And I think that's the benefit of not getting in the transfer portal and sticking around. People are a little bit more familiar with you. But still, the expectations have got to be high. And I'm excited, though, that the defense is really excelling right now. We knew that it would be good with Coach Gibson. That's his forte. I don't expect any given year a team with Coach Gibson as the coach to have a poor defense. Yeah. And usually it's fair. I would think the defense usually is ahead of the offense at this point, or at least that's what we've been told over the past several decades.
Yeah, that's kind of what he alluded to as well, as defense usually has a little bit more, juice, I guess, or I guess that like the reps that you get on defense maybe are a little bit more conducive because, if you're throwing all summer long with quarterback or receiver, you're building that connection and that chemistry, but it's not like you have somebody rushing you while you're doing that or you have someone defending you while you're catching it, so that's probably part of it. I think that that's kind of the same thing I've heard is the defense kind of gets ahead, but both sides, talking to the coordinators and everything, everybody feels like they're, comparatively to last year, especially for the players that return, I feel like they're ahead, compared to last year in terms of just install and all that stuff. They're kind of going through details and everything rather than.
What do you think that's changed that you can talk about compared to last year? Coach Gibson comes in, make sure that this program, actually can field a football team, and then we go. This year, you've got that year under your belt. Of course, Coach Gibson, no stranger to spring camp and the process. Just now as a head coach, he's responsible for everything. What have you picked up that maybe has stood out to you from year one to year two?
Yeah, I think the retention has been the biggest talking point. Obviously, you have the players. I think at media days he said that they have 7 on offense and 7 on defense that are coming back. Probably more than a lot of people can claim. It wasn't really a talk about bringing in, like what it was last year, bringing in 80 guys or whatever. But the staff, too, that's a big part of it. With retention on the offensive staff, I believe every single coach is back. That helps, especially the offense was good last year. So the defense side, you would think, bringing in new coaches and everything, that it maybe wouldn't be as strong. But, I talked to Boogie Trotter, at Fan Day, and he was saying that, he'd been there a week and had already gotten caught up on, like, the plays and everything, with Coach Lambert. I think a big thing is you're like 2 or 3 coaches deep with like head coaching experience at this point, because obviously you have Coach Gibson at the top, but then Coach Lambert and Coach Hood, all of those guys have ran programs, and sure it helps, build some sort of continuity and build that foundation a lot quicker, to where now talking to Coach Stuckey with the wide receivers, for instance, was saying they've kind of moved to like a daily goal mindset rather than like this like broad and everybody get here, get locked in type of thing. Like they're able to focus a little bit more onto the finer details, and I figure that makes you good. Obviously all this stuff is just talk, at preseason phase. That what are you expecting to say that they're playing poorly or anything else? But I think that it's trustable, and believable that Coach Gibson said he wants to wear fewer hats. He wants to trust his coaches to do their jobs. He wants Coach Lambert to run the defense, and seems like it's going pretty well.
Tyler Kennett's with us, HD Media, covering the Thundering Herd for the Herald-Dispatch. Marshall getting closer to taking on Penn State in the road opener. We got the preseason AP Top 25 today. And, of course, it's way too soon, always is. But you look at Penn State, number 18, so the Herd in a top 25 matchup. Not that this matchup needed any more juice to begin with, but here we are, way too early preseason rankings, and it's going to be a top 25 contest for the Thundering Herd.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at them earlier, just in terms of like the group of six, because like it's not that I don't care about the Power Four, but it's not my job to, you know what I mean? So it's like on Saturday, I'm always watching what's going on in the Sun Belt or the American and all of those things. And UNLV, Boise State get love. I feel like Boise State just gets praise every single year this time of year. I don't know if it's the blue turf or what, but they seem to be good. UNLV made some noise in the offseason. James Madison got a few votes as expected with reaching the playoff, that kind of thing. But, I think the excitement for Penn State is high, obviously. It's kind of another blue blood on the schedule for Coach Gibson. That's it's got to be fun. You start with Georgia, then you get Penn State this year, you get Alabama next year. That's fun, I'm sure, for him.
Yeah, Alabama 13th. I had to look at that and go, okay, when has Alabama started 13? And it feels like this is becoming now the norm instead of just a blip on the radar. Like, huh? What? Alabama 13. But, looking at that list, of course, Louisiana getting some votes as well. Louisiana getting more votes than James Madison. I mean, again, small sample size, but anything to hold over a rival, sure. Hey, we got one more than you.
Yeah, I think Louisiana is going to be really good. They're kind of in a similar situation to Marshall where they bring a lot of guys back. Coach Dez does a lot of high school recruitment. I talked to him for quite a while at Sun Belt days, and he was pretty excited about the team. I still think Troy is the team to beat out west, but they wouldn't shock me at all if, like, it comes down to it, the game that matters on that side of the conference would be Troy or Louisiana or something like that. They seem to be very strong, in terms of what they retain, and I think that's it's fair. I don't know if I'm saying like top 25 for Louisiana, like if I voted for it, but I don't. So I don't even know how I would put it together, to be honest with you. I'll just throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks.
I think that's what a lot of the voters do, to be quite fair and honest. Sure, it's real easy to say, okay, Ohio State's going to be the number one team. And you look at Oregon, okay, Oregon could be the number two team. And you go down the list, and at this point you're throwing darts on the board trying to figure out, what your vote's going to be. Tulane gets one vote, 1 point. Oklahoma State 8. Just looking at some of these things here. Western Michigan 1. Memphis 2. Memphis got 2. Hey, we haven't talked about Memphis. They're going to be a big deal this year, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm tired of talking about Memphis. But
wait a minute. I need to pull that thread just a little bit. So that's come up a little bit more, I'm detecting.
No, I mean, it's just the connection. I mean, you get people who ask you about, well, I never worked here, like, in this career while Coach Huff was here. So
right.
I have no experience to pull from. But, like, when I was at Media Days for the West Day, I think I was, like, the only guy there from the East that stuck around, to my knowledge. Maybe I wasn't, and hopefully I'm not throwing anybody under there. But all the Southern Miss people were like, "What? How was Coach Huff?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I didn't really work with him." But so it gets funny. Like, I think they'll be solid. I have no clue. Memphis is always good. So it's they have the budget and everything. I figure, but it just gets to a point where it's like, man, like, move on. You know what I mean? But it's okay.
Like, what do we know about Memphis? We don't know because we don't cover Memphis. Yeah, sure, we knew Coach Huff.
Yeah.
All I know about Coach Huff at this point is close the gap, and he's looking to leave the American and bring Memphis with him. That's all I know about him right now.
Oh, there's so much turnover everywhere. Like I was on a Penn State radio show, and they were like, if it were you scouting this game, would you look at Iowa State? I'm like, yeah, probably. Because that's basically what you're bringing over. So it's like there's so much turnover and walk around that you don't really know until I think that Coach Ricky Ronnie from ODU puts it best. He wouldn't vote on anything until it was like 4 or 5 weeks deep, because that's when you really know something about somebody.
And even then, really, do we know anything? Because all we know is,
No.
okay, Ohio State
never
can
know
beat some.
anything.
Yeah, Ohio State can beat some teams outside of conference. Yeah, sure. Okay, we
Yeah.
know that. Other than that, we really don't know anything. And I feel the same way with basketball as well. We just don't know anything until we know.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't think Indiana had it in them to go until they won the Big Ten championship game. And then I was like, okay, like that took all year to figure out, so it's, who knows, Marshall could just go win this thing. Who knows, but I do think that has been the big difference this year, though, is that there is more concrete talk with Marshall, just getting back to here. You're able to speak about it a little bit more eloquently than, this guy did really good here, and then this guy did really good here. It's like, well, these guys were here last year. They played well here last year, and they're expected to do well again this year, type of stuff.
You mentioned Boogie earlier, and, of course, Boogie getting that year back and getting that eligibility. Was he just like a kid in the candy store getting that chance one more time? Because for a lot of these student athletes, it's not about chasing dollars. For them, I mean, this is it. This is their last year. This is their last opportunity to go out there and maybe make a name for themselves, or just, hey, I got one more year left and then I'm done with football. I don't know what Boogie's individual case may be, but I'm sure he had to be excited because, as I talked to listeners, was Boogie going to not have a spot? No way. Absolutely. Boogie's available. Boogie's eligible. Boogie's got a spot.
Yeah, I thought I went up to Boogie after the first practice. He came back and he came up to me, gave me a hug, and he was like, "Man, I'm so happy." And then we talked to him at Fan Day too, and it was like the same thing. He was. Yeah, I think the direct quote he had was like, "I was more excited to be back at Marshall for another year than I was to have another year at football," which is always good to hear. But from a fan perspective and everything, he was doing rounds at Fan Day. Everybody was really happy to see him back. He's excited, so he seems like he kept in great shape. I mean, when he was doing the pro day stuff and all that, he got stronger, so he had been working. I think that he's kind of ramped up and he could be a difference maker. I think that if it was in the spring that he was around and all of this came through instead of in the fall, that's probably a guy you put on the first team defense. I mean, his production is unreal, what he's able to do and how he's able to contribute. Goes back to that DB room from the scrimmage and everything. I mean, it just helps them get deeper. They have more and more guys. You don't have to lean on somebody as much. I mean, you're bringing back a high level player there.
If you're any other team in the Sun Belt and you hear, "Oh, Boogie's back," I'm sure you're really excited about that. Oh, yeah, great, Boogie's back.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Coach Lambert. We were interviewing him after practice, and he was saying, yeah, I didn't know who Boogie was, and I was watching the Coastal game, and he had that pick six on the first play, and then that's how he introduced himself to him. He's like, "Oh, that's who he is." And that was it was so funny last year. There was 2 or 3 times that Boogie would be in the press conference and he would be like, "I'm going to get a pick this week," and we'd be like, "Oh yeah," and then first or second play of the game he'd do it. So he's funny, and he's also a really great player. He's a great guy too. I like him a lot.
He can back it up. Tyler Kennett's with us, HD Media. Of course, football is where he's pretty much put his head in right now. What else are you working on? I know we've got a lot of other things happening. You've got to cover a lot. High school football, as we alluded to, starting back up. There's been some exciting things happening at Marshall University. I'm actually excited. I know we're a few weeks, months away from it, but I'm excited to actually get into the Henderson Center and kind of see what some of those renovations are going to look like, when they're put together. We're going to be able to hang out maybe at the courtside seats there, the courtside club, high-five the team, get a hot dog, Tyler. I mean, there are so many options for us now.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think a lot of the initiatives that Gerald and his team are doing are really impressive. A lot of people speak really highly of the job he's done. Even the Ring of Honor stuff too, I think is really sweet. A lot of good home run derby type of stuff. It's things people have wanted for a long time, knock it out of the park. So that kind of stuff's great. I was at soccer over the weekend for the men for the exhibition and the women women for their first game too, so we're getting into that. Thought about going to the women's game last night, but then the rain hit, and I was like, I don't know. So ended up taking the day off, and probably made the right choice. But get back into some soccer this week, and then hit high school football, and then get rolling after camp wraps up.
Yeah, you made the right decision with that weather yesterday. Unfortunately, the Herd and Bobcats can't get it going. Sure, you know what? Hey, play that in the indoor, right? No, that's not going to happen.
Right.
No.
I saw they were like, oh, we might play at like 10. I was like, I might as well just go over there. There's nothing else to do. And then I was like, they're not going to play it. So.
Tyler Kennett's with us, HD Media. Anything else you're working on you're excited about you want to tell us about?
I'm getting a puppy. So
oh, really?
We'll do that, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much it. Yeah, not much else. But
now,
working on getting the supplies and all that. I've not had a dog. We have 2 cats. So see how that goes.
Okay, so this is going to be your first child.
Suppose.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay, first puppy, first child.
Because cats kind of like do their own thing, you know. You don't. It's kind of like if you just had a baby and they pop out and they're just like, "How you doing?" Like, it's nice to meet you. I'm gonna go home and go to work, you know. So it's like dogs they seem to be a little bit more, you know, got to get after it. So doing the research and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cats think that I've read this. Cats believe that you're another cat. You're like mom. You're the mom cat, but you're just awkward and you don't know how to do things like hunt. So that's why they bring you mice and other things. So, you know, they're trying to help you out.
Yeah. I got this little one, named her after LaMelo Ball. We thought it was a guy for the first couple of weeks when we found her on the street back home. And so her name is Melly, and she doesn't like me very much. I think I played with her too much when she was like little, and so she'll lay with me for a little bit, and then she'll get up and she'll be like, I'm out of here and go on. But yeah, so they get along pretty well. Hopefully they've been around dogs, so I figure that'll be an easy pickup. We're getting like a little Yorkie, so it'll be not like it's going to be too much to deal with. I figured 3 little guys in the house.
Okay, all right, I like it. I want a Yorkie. I want a Yorkie. We might exchange info because I think I want a Yorkie as well. You know, I need a small dog for my next dog. I need looks like a small one I can handle, like put in my bag if I need to.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. My grandparents have one. They got after all of us moved out, and barks like a demon, like constantly. But other than that, he does all right. His name is Rusty. So the cat's here right now, actually. So.
I had my last dog. It just passed. I had a couple years ago. He was 19, and he was Elk-Hound mix, best dog I ever could possibly have, and I want another Elk-Hound. But again, I'm with you. I kind of want I just want a dog I can handle in one hand. I mean, I got football season I contend with. You know, sometimes maybe I'm gonna have to put the dog in the bag and go. Let's go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, put him in the car. Let him show up.
Exactly.
See how everybody feels about a dog showing up to the cam in the winter or something.
Yeah, nobody will mind. Yeah, absolutely. They think the world of us, Tyler. They won't mind at all. Tyler Kennett's with us, HD Media. We'll see more of you soon. And, of course, football season's almost upon us. But before that, yeah, you got soccer coming up this week, and you've got high school football, so you're going to be pretty busy. All of that's going to be available at the Herald-Dispatch or your favorite HD Media property. You're statewide, Tyler.
Appreciate it. Yeah, always fun.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. More coming up, including your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Big news, Cabell County. King's Tire Service is now open on Route 60 in Ona, across from Cabell Midland. For more than 55 years, we've been serving West Virginia with automotive excellence you can trust. We do more than just sell tires. Our ASE certified technicians are ready to handle all your repairs, from your daily driver to the heavy-duty demands on the job. Our philosophy at King's is simple. We never promise more than we can deliver, and we always give you more than you expect. Stop by our brand new Ona location today, or visit us at kingtireservice.com.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
This fall, plan a getaway to West Virginia's state parks. Scenic hikes, mountain tram rides, cozy cabins, and brilliant fall color are all waiting along our country roads. Best of all, it's closer and more affordable than you think. Gather your crew and start planning now. Visit wvstateparks.com. This fall, plan a getaway to West Virginia's state parks. Scenic hikes, mountain tram rides, cozy cabins, and brilliant fall color are all waiting along our country roads. Best of all, it's closer and more affordable than you think. Gather your crew and start planning now. Visit wvstateparks.com.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, couch purring, bed leaping, and of course, companionship.
Wonderful. And what breed would you say Nico is?
I'd have to go with a tabbyish Persian kind of mix.
Tremendous cat.
I'd also like to point out her coat's wonderful mix of colors. Is it black, gray, black, brown?
Somewhere in between.
Indeed.
You know, it's always special when we get to see a cat like this.
Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And how she's so incredibly cute in her indifference to commands.
A strong-willed feline.
Ah, and see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
I know. Fantastic cat.
Fantastic indeed. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
There are no words to describe it. The isolation, the boredom, the loneliness. If you're wondering where your teenage son or daughter's spirit went, you're hardly alone. The past year has been devastating, especially for them. But here's the good news. They might just find it again, playing high school sports. Workouts that stimulate, teammates and coaches that care. The sense of belonging so many of us have been missing lately. That's what school sports are all about. The sense of achievement is real, and the camaraderie is hard to beat. Coping with uncertainty is difficult, but school sports can help the teenagers in your family start feeling like themselves again. Encourage them to give it a try. High school sports, it's so much more than a game.
This message presented by the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission and the West Virginia Athletic Directors Association.
There's a place to share the joy of your team winning it all, and a place to share a laugh about skiing and taking a fall. There's a place to share photos of pets, or singing in the choir, or the time you ate a pepper and your mouth was on fire. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone. Ask about your company's emotional health benefits. Visit heart.org/sharing. Brought to you by the American Heart Association.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue with this Monday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. As we mentioned earlier, Carlos Del Rio Wilson named to the 2026 Walter Camp Player of the Year watch list. I mean, Carlos has been racking it up. And again, preseason, it's great to be acknowledged. And this is what a lot of these lists are. It's, hey, you performed well last year. We have huge expectations for you. We think you're going to be among some of the best college football players out there. If you look at the list that he's been named to, we start with the most recent, the Walter Camp Player of the Year watch list, Maxwell Award watch list. He is an All-State AFCA Good Works Team nominee. He is an All-State Werfel Trophy watch list nominee. And here's one that he definitely should not have been denied and wasn't, the 2026 Sun Belt Conference preseason Offensive Player of the Year. And a couple other publications out there, Athlon Sports, steal his publication as well, nominating him as someone to watch. I mean, this is pretty big stuff here. And I didn't remember this, so I was reading this in the release that came out earlier today. So if you look at a lot of the players that are returning, there's only two guys. Carlos is one of them. Byron Brown from Auburn, the other one. The only two quarterbacks to come back that have thrown for 2,000 yards, completed 65% of passes, and rushed for 600 yards in the 2025 season. That's Carlos right there, one of two. Carlos might be able to do it again. Carlos, of course, once Marshall figured out, hey, Carlos is the guy, off and running, right? So there's a lot of expectation on him. And it's good to be able to talk about, we don't have a quarterback problem. We don't have a quarterback controversy. We're not trying to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. That's locked and set. We're good. Here it is. Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He will be coming out all guns blazing, slinging that football, and making sure that the Thundering Herd at least has a chance at getting that Sun Belt Conference championship. That's really, I think, that should be the expectation this year. How much closer can Marshall get with Carlos coming back to being the team to win the Sun Belt Conference? East Division. Can Marshall overcome JMU? That's probably the big thing there. Can Marshall overcome some of these teams? And nobody knows, but I feel good with Carlos back there. And again, you look at his numbers, solid last year, very good, and I expect only bigger things from him. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll get your text coming up on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Injured in a wreck? Warner Law Offices is now here for you in Huntington, on 4th Avenue across from the courthouse. Personal, local, decades of experience.
Call 345-6789.
Looking for a financial partner that puts people first? At Huntingtonized Federal Credit Union, you're more than just an account number. You're family. Whether you're buying a car, saving for the future, or looking for a checking account that fits your lifestyle, Huntingtonized is here to help you with friendly local service that you can trust. Stop by the main office at 481 West 8th Avenue in Huntington, or learn more online at huntingtonized.com. Huntingtonized Federal Credit Union, serving our community and helping our members achieve more, one financial goal at a time.
Summer is here, and that means more motorcyclists enjoying West Virginia's country roads. When we're on the road, it's everyone's responsibility to keep each other safe. So, give motorcycles a full lane width. Check your blind spots and use your blinker when changing lanes. And allow more follow distance behind motorcycles because it takes them longer to stop. These simple rules will help keep everyone safe on the road. Share the road with motorcycles. This message is brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Summer starts here. It's the Moses Auto Mall of Huntington Ninth Street Live. Every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, August 14th, it's Warner Law Office Night, featuring the sounds of Cruise Avenue. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy Ninth Street Libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerks at Pullman Square. Mark your calendars for August 28th with The Chase. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blanco Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kidron Communications.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Juice, Mom. Juice, juice, juice. Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice. Mom, juice, juice, juice. Mommy, juice, juice, Mom. Juice, juice.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. That's right, the car seat. A car seat isn't one size fits all. You have to have the right seat based on your child's age, weight, and height. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. But there's a website that gives you all the information you need. safercar.gov/the-right-seat. You'll find out about types of seats, when to have a seat rear-facing, when to switch it to forward-facing, when it's time for a booster seat, and when it's time for your child to ride in the back seat with a seatbelt. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thank you, Dave. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, 10:06, it is Metro News Talkline. Dave Wilson, TJ Meadows, they'll get you covered and start your day off right here, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Some interesting items coming out today. I'm not sure if I'm surprised by this because he's done a pretty good job. Michigan State has named Western Michigan Athletic Director Dan Bartholomew as the next athletic director at East Lansing. He is someone who has got it done at Western Michigan. And he's been able to improve fundraising. They've been competitive. I mean, of course, they've won. It's very tough to win, especially in other sports, not just football, basketball. So coming from the Mid-American Conference, Western Michigan's athletic director, Dan Bartholomew, has been elevated to the new AD at Michigan State. Western Michigan gets $5.1 million under the extension agreement. So 60 days, $5.1 million. And I'm sure Michigan State's got this. They actually can afford this as well. So some other interesting items that are coming out. And again, I'm trying to figure out, if this is going to go anywhere. I like this one. First of all, there's an op-ed right now that has Congress being urged to pass the Protect College Sports Act. This is from New York Yankees president and Saving College Sports Roundtable vice chair Randy Levine, outlining the existential financial threats facing collegiate athletics and systematically pushes back against key political and industry opposition because the AFL-CIO continues to oppose the legislation. Here's their deal. They don't agree that the college student athletes or the players or collective bargaining is the answer. They don't believe collective bargaining is the answer because if you look at the majority of the Division I schools, they're public institutions. And so how do you do that? Because each state covers their employment differently, right? I get that. Understand that. They're not state employees right now, but if they collectively bargain, don't they become state employees? Or would you be able to circumvent that? I don't know if you can do that. So there's a lot of interesting news coming out on that, just trying to keep just a little bit on top of it. And then I like this. This came out today from the Field of 68. Jeff Goodman was told that the NCAA may not be able to threaten teams that use players deemed ineligible by the NCAA, but that team can be penalized by the committee members. Other committee members could penalize a team by seeding or not even including them in the field. So I saw that. I'm like, okay, so you might not be able to threaten a team that has a player that was deemed ineligible. Yeah, okay. We deem you ineligible. Yeah, for reasons. Nope. Okay. Well, what's there to say the committee members might go, we might just have to take this out ourselves here. that was interesting. So you can read more over there at the Field of 68. Interesting read there. I won't read it all here for you today, but that is pretty much what we're looking at across the board. We've got baseball action tonight. Quick reminder, the Pirates opening up a series against the Detroit Tigers. 6:40 is going to be our airtime here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Reds later on in Game 2 of its doubleheader with the Cardinals. Lost Game 1 2-1 after losing to the Marlins yesterday 7-1. Guardians are off today after losing to the Padres 5-0. Marshall Sports this week, volleyball exhibition action in Columbus, taking on Ohio State. On Thursday this week, women's soccer going to be in High Point. That's going to be a 4 p.m. contest. And then the men will face off against Fairfield. That's going to be 7:15 at the Vet. We'll have Bobby Iddings joining us on Thursday, give us a game day preview of the team and the matchup with Fairfield. That's going to do it. Back with you tomorrow, including more of your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Our other ways to be a part of the show are as follows. You can follow the podcast, available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and you can find me on X at Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.